Thank you, Sulme. Did I pronounce it well? And Valentine Etar, thank you. Phoebe, thank you. And if you just join in, just share, 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 so we have many people to join us. Uh, have a wonderful people. It's good to always have you guys. And if you just tune in, just share so that we have many people to join us. And thank you again. We have a lot of things to discuss. Uh, we have a lot of things to talk about. And so if you just tune in, just share, share, share. So we have many people. And another thing is, if you just join in, just indicate where you are so that I am aware where you are coming from. And thank you so much for tuning in. Uh, 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 that's Dinga Ivo Esther. Thank you for tuning in. And Prince, Justina. Oh, thank you guys for joining in. And if you just tune in, just share. We have many people to join us. We have a lot of things to talk about. And I want to take a moment to thank you so much again. And today is a wonderful day. Uh, we have Prince, we have Mado, Amber, and thank you so much. If I don't read your name, that doesn't mean that I don't recognize the importance of you joining in. It is important because we have important thing to talk about, and if you just tune in, just share, and when you share, we have many people join in so that we can share the informations and let them understand our positions. And the people of Southern Cameroon is a dedicated people and for their freedom. And we have a lot to talk about. And if you just tune in, just share and have others join us. And remember, you can always get me live on Twitter. You can always get me live on YouTube. You can always get me live on Facebook. So either or you will be speaking with me or you will be with me live. So those are the three ways you can always get me. You can also Google me on the YouTube for Funtong Funton Daniel, and you get me on the Google on the YouTube. And you can always get me on my Facebook, and you can always get me on my Twitter account. And those are the many ways you can always get me live. And I want to take a moment to thank you for taking this opportunity to tune in. And you are so wonderful. Uh, So, uh, and um, thank you, Zama, for joining in, and thank you, Marian. And I want you to have some background of the cultural aspect of the Federal Republic of Amazonia, because they have this music that signify the cultural identity of the people of Southern Cameroon and the people of Ambazonian. And that gives you a good image of this cultural identity. This cultural identity signify the people of Southern Cameroon. That is the most important thing that you want to take home for today. The significance of the cultural identity. And this cultural identity, you can hear from the music background. And if you just joining me, you just share so we have many people to join us. I know many people are still looking forward to, but if you just share, send to the group, send to everybody, and so let them join us because we have a very important thing to talk about today. And while the music gives the significance of the cultural identity of the people of Southern Cameroon, and that image, that song that is echo, it is a very, very important song. It's not just only the significance, but it gives you the impression that the people of Southern Cameroon is unique in their identity. It is the choreographic of the dancing, the significance and the choreographic of the dancing. You have to take a practice. You have to take practice to be able to pick up the choreographic and the significance of the dancing. And it is something that is unique. The iconography, that's the structure is something that you take it in a slow motion and you realize that the excitement in this cultural identity, and that is something that is not commonly seen in the public, except you may have traveled to one of the cultural activities of the southern Cameroon that you may witness some of this unique cultural dance. And that is the importance of this background music that gave you the impression of the southern Cameroon. And thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking off your time to be able to listen. And once more again, my name is Funton Daniel. I will be speaking here live from the great state of Texas. So thank you, Mr. John, for joining in. And I want to take a moment to thank you so much for taking off your time and be able to watch me in live. And again, my name is Funton Daniel. I am speaking here from the live from the great state of Texas. And there are several ways you can get in touch with me live. You can either tune me on my YouTube account, or you can also get me on my Twitter account or on my Facebook Live. And I want to take a moment to thank you for taking the opportunity to be able to watch me live. It is very, very important that we discuss the issues that are affecting the Southern Cameroon territory. Many of you may not know exactly, but sometimes I usually give a historical background for you to understand what is Southern Cameroon territory and why is it important and why should I be talking about it? Why does it matter? And it matters a lot. That is why I am here to talk about the issues that is affecting this Southern Cameroon territory, because I think it personal, and I take it personal, and as I take it personal, it affects me, it affects my people that I represent. That is why I want to x-ray it. I want to bring the x-ray of the issues that is affecting the Federal Republic of Ambazonian, the Southern Cameroon territory, that many people around the world may not know, And it is important that when you x-ray, you bring life and that you bring changes. You make the people understand that they have an identity and that they have someone that cares about them and that they have someone that they can stand and speak on their behalf. And that is what I am doing today. I am speaking on behalf of the people of Southern Cameroon, because it is very, very crucial. And if you just tune in, just share this information so that we have many people joining us. I know many people are probably busy, but if you have an opportunity, just share so that many people join us. And once again, my name is Funton Daniel. I am speaking here live from the great state of Texas. And I know my fellow friends in Europe, no one is sleeping. I think they will soon be joining us. And if you happen to be from Europe, just indicate below that what part of Europe you are. Maybe Finland, Britain, France, Germany, Switzerland, Holland, Russia, wherever you are, just indicate where you are. And that is very significant to me, because I usually go through to see where my audience are. If you are in South America, thank you for taking the opportunity to join in. I know there's also problems going on in South America. And if you are in ground zero, just indicate where in ground zero. If you are in La Republique, indicate where in La Republique. If you're in South Africa, or Ghana, wherever you are, thank you for taking a moment to be able to watch me live. And I want to take the moment to thank you again. I know there are many people that are also worried about the issues affecting the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, or the former British Trusted Territory. And if you are here in our beloved nations, the great United States, I just want to take a moment to thank you for being able to connect with me live. And if whatever you are, just indicate. And I want to take a moment to thank you again. My name is Funton Daniel, and I will be speaking live here from the great state of Texas. Before I proceed, I want to take a moment to thank the President of the United States. I want to take a moment to thank the United States Congress. Remember, United States Congress is the law body that write laws that govern this beautiful great nations of the United States. And U.S. Congress is a very, very important body, and that we need to respect the U.S. Congress for the important job they do, so that they ensure that peace reigns in and around the world. And U.S. Congress, remember, they write the letters about what is incidents that I'm going to be talking about, and they are watching it very carefully. And I just want to take a moment to thank the U.S. Congress. I want to take a moment to thank the U.S. Senate. And I want to take a moment to thank the U.S. Secretary of State, and he's doing a very fabulous job to ensure that peace are maintained in the rest of the world. And I want to thank the Under Secretary of State in the same that department. I want to thank Nikki Haley, the permanent representative to the United Nations. She's also a very important person. She is representing these wonderful nations. What is the goal of the United States to the United Nations? And she's very, very important, Nikki Haley. And I want to thank the United States Department of Defense. I want to take a moment to thank the White House. They are doing a very fabulous job. They ensure that peace and security are maintained in and around the world. And Southern Cameroon is not exception of this case. I want to take a moment to thank all of you that have taken off your time to be able to watch me live. And here again, my name again is Funton Daniel. Oh, thanks, great. From Ohio, that's wonderful. I have someone from Ohio. That's great. And thank you. Whatever you are, just indicate below because I go through to see where all my audience are. I want the issues that I have been talking about is Federal Republic of Ambazonian, or the former British Trusted Territory. Southern Cameroon is one of those nations that their independence was declared. Remember, Article 76B of the United Nations Charter, it stated that all the territories that were mandated that were under the control of the Allied forces and several other nations should be prepared for immediate independence. And Southern Cameroon was one of those territories that were mandated, that was under the British control. And so they were allowed to prepare for immediate independence. And in 1960s, there were a series of elections that were conducted in Southern Cameroon. And those series of elections, the United Nations and the British administrator were conducted to ensure that a democratic form of government were maintained in the Southern Cameroon. And so Southern Cameroon is one of those territories. And so in 1957-58, the first election was conducted in the Southern Cameroon territory, where a prime minister was elected. Dr. Endele was elected the first prime minister of Southern Cameroon. And he introduced his cabinet at the Enugu House of Assembly, which is in Nigeria. That is where the Southern Cameroon prime minister representing the cabinet of the government of Southern Cameroon to the British administrator, because the British administrator was residing in Nigeria. And so when he presented and gave his positions, what his goal and his intention were, and the British administrator acknowledged the prime minister's intention and his goal and his objective, which was clean and clear, that of the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon and certain autonomy for the people of Southern Cameroon. You know, the British system of government, they value democracy. They value the wishes of the people. That is what the people want. And the British administrator was in line with the Southern Cameroon, despite the fact that they have their own goal. But since the people elected representative is present this case, that is a choice of the people. And the British administrator acknowledged and accept. And in 1958 to 60, another election was conducted. In this time was John Gofonja, who was elected the Prime Minister of Southern Cameroon. He also presented his cabinet to Enugu House of Assembly. And it presented the case of the Southern Cameroon. The British administrator acknowledged and the authenticity of the government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonian, or the Southern Cameroon, or West Cameroon, whatever name you choose that is more familiar with you, is okay with me. So So Southern Cameroon has been emancipating, has been practicing a form of democracy, a form of democratic form of government where the people have the wish and the people have the voice to be able to elect their representative. In La République, which is the French colony, and I know I have been writing about it. La République, which was a French colony, they were mandated by the same United Nations body that France should prepare La République for immediate independence. France did not accomplish their mission. France did not. Instead, France was more interested in slaughtering and murdering the people that are aspiring to become the leaders of La République. That is a true fact that France has never initiated any meaningful election or conduct a meaningful election in La République. France was busy murdering the people of La République, including the Bamilekes, the UPC. That is why the song that I posted on my Facebook, it is exactly a chronography of what happened in La République by the French. So France has never in history have a meaningful conducted elections, organized an effective, efficient government in La République. That is why as times unfolded, La République believed in a total autocratic form of government, that a single individual that served the interests of France should be the architect of La République du Cameroon. And that is why, in the course of the time, France was looking for means to assimilate and disband the Anglophone territory and inculcate into La République. And so, because La République has been sandwiched to France, and France believed in their total hegemony and the total control of La République, and not only La République, other African continent that happened to be part of the French colony. And that is why you see a series of wars that will occur in Nigeria, not only in Nigeria, in Ivory Coast. You remember one U.S. senator publicly denounced the French policy in Ivory Coast because while the people were sleeping, France was busy bombarding the presidency of Ivory Coast. And no one is able to advocate this or tell the truth about what France's policy has been. And because of this French dictatorial system of government, that is why you see continued brutality and no meaningful and sound government has ever prevailed, because France wants to ensure that any individuals that is the head of any particular colony must be defined by France. And that is why they must make sure that each of the appointed or cabinet member of government must be approved by France, rather than the people. The people of that, the indigents, should be able to approve whether the said government represent their aspiration. You know, France has always believed in this dictatorship. Remember, it's not only Africa that became the consequences of getting this problem of France. It began with Europeans have also experienced this hegemony of the French brutality. Remember, the Germans, when German Otto von Bismarck believed that the unify of Germany cannot be accomplished with France. And that is why Bismarck was very skillful. He was very smart, and he knew that France is the target for the sovereignty and independent nation of Germany. And so we, the Africans, experience this continual brutality of France. It's not something that is new. It's something that happens in Europe. And before the Europeans become free because of the French hegemony. And so France has used every hegemony to conquer the Europeans' descent. And when they began to emancipate, seeking for their freedom, and that is why when Otto von Bismarck said the unity of Germany cannot be accomplished without the France influence. And so he was very skillful and he was very smart to ensure that all those allied neighbors that could ally with France would be detrimental to the German independence. And so they skillfully able to overcome France. That is why the independence of Germany was proclaimed in the House of Mirror in France. And France will never regret that. And so Africa is now the shifted focus from Europeans conquer to Africa, where Southern Cameroon is one of the victory countries. So let's look about how France, when the United Nations mandated that those colonial territory be prepared for immediate independence, France never prepared La République du Cameroon for immediate independence. France was preparing for military crackdown on the government rather than preparing a unified government system structure. And that is why France has not any good economic principle for the African identity. So the people of Bassas and the people of Bamilekes, they were are the architects of potential to gain a sovereignty, to gain the presidency. Amadou Ahidjo, the former president of La République, was not able to win the presidency because the people has the majority to be able to win the presidency. So France was very smart and knew that instead France banned those nations and going after the leaders. And that is that some of those leaders were residing in the Southern Cameroon territory. And many of them were being killed. You remember the famous guillotine in France on the king of France, Louis XIV or Louis XVI, either or. Louis XIV or Louis XVI, guillotine, famous method of executing people in France. Those were the systems that were applied in the southern in La République. La République people, the French military in the 50s and the 60s were guillotining many La République citizens, and they were being slaughtered. And the way to show that they have achieved their goal and objective was to portray their head as a presentation that they have actually carried their mission. But yet France seems to show, because of the guillotine and pick up Amadou Ahidjo, and later on you have this brutal dictatorship, Paul Biya, who has been in power for 35 years. Southern Cameroon territory, whom I am speaking about, has enjoyed a meaningful true democracy. They have an elected officials, and there was a transfer of power from one elected officials to the next. And this form of democracy prevailed in the Southern Cameroon territory. And now let me come back to the United Nations. United Nations current Secretary General, who is residing here in the United States in New York. It is very unfortunate that United Nations body have someone at the helm of that enterprise that lack knowledge and skill and understanding of the culture around the world. Because someone to head an important organization as the United Nations should be able, has historical factual, to be able to understand how to manage the world body. And that is why he appointed someone in the Central African Republic called Francois Lefort to head United Nations body. And Francois Lefort inaccurately giving his wrong analysis that the people of Southern Cameroon is a terrorist. If you have been listening to me and understand this historical background of the people of Southern Cameroon, then that particular individual appointed by the United Nations to head the Central African Republic shouldn't make such a mistake, giving that wrong analysis. That is why I am concerned by someone heading a United Nations body, such as the important body like the United Nations, and giving inaccurate information about the people of Southern Cameroon. The people of Southern Cameroon has enjoyed a meaningful democracy. They have enjoyed a meaningful elections. They have enjoyed a means in which power is transferred from one elected officials to the next. And if the people of Southern Cameroon demonstrate that they don't like to be with La Republique, that the United Nations voted in 1961, United States government representative voted recognized Southern Cameroon as a sovereign nation. United States did not make a mistake in the 50s. Neither will they make a mistake now. If the United States stood for the Southern Cameroon, that they believe they ought to have their independence, and they voted in the United Nations office, and someone like Francois Lefort, who is a Central African representative in sub-Central African region, giving wrong analysis that the Southern Cameroon are terrorists, then I am kind of concerned what is credentials that he was assessed first to identify that he was capable to manage such an organization, to head such an organization, when he giving wrong and inaccurate information about the people of Southern Cameroon. That is why I am here to give that if I was the one heading the United Nations, he should have immediately terminated his duty because he lacked mentally judgment, he lacked inaccuracy of reporting exactly the true story of the people of Southern Cameroon. The people of Southern Cameroon is a sovereign nation. Article 76B of the United Nations asks that all the allied forces should prepare those territorial integrity to a sovereign nations. And the British administrator at the time prepared Southern Cameroon for this immediate independence. And there was a change of leadership to substantiate that the people were ready and they were mature, they were capable to manage their government. The fact that they choose to live with La Republique does not give La Republique authority over the Southern Cameroon. So the Southern Cameroon is a sovereign nation. And the same body that voted for the sovereignty of La Republique is the same nation that voted for the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon. And so the people have the right to their self-determination. They have the right to question whether they don't have to be with La Republique. And they have the legal authority to do so. And when someone like Francois Lefort, who is the Central African representative to the Central African Republic, giving inaccurate information, then he should be immediately terminated or give leave without pay for a proper investigation whether he has a sound judgment to make a good analysis. First, he hasn't even traveled to the Southern Cameroon to identify the means, the people, their positions towards La Republique. They haven't sent an investigation group to investigate exactly what are the people of Southern Cameroon want. They have demonstrated that they don't want to be with La Republique. And the recent October 1st demonstration demonstrate that the people of Southern Cameroon has chosen for their sovereignty. They do not want La Republique to decide their future destiny. And that should give a signal to the United Nations and to the Sub-Central African Republic representative that the people are serious. He describing the Southern Cameroon as a terrorist, then he is lack poor judgment and critical analysis to make sound knowledge that should be able to broadcast in the world body. And then secondly, his own boss, the Secretary General, who is residing here in the United States. He traveled to Central African Republic, where he is orchestrating the same brutality that is happening there. Because if he can make a sound judgment, then I'm wondering how the rest of the world are in chaotic scene. Because when people heading an important body can make sound judgment, then the world is in chaos. Just imagine that you arrive in a hospital And a doctor began to diagnose you without even first asking you a single question. A doctor just start telling you, you are dementia, you are having a heart attack, you have this, and he hasn't even asked you a single question. He hasn't even formulated a test. He hasn't even done single item. It's from the test that the doctor should be able to gather the information and then bring a sound conclusion that you are suffering from a heart attack, and that you are suffering from a diarrhea, and that you are suffering from this particular disease, because the doctor is able to pieces all the information available together, and all the information will give the doctor to be able to make a meaningful diagnosis. That is why a diagnosis in this hospital should be accurately the same in another hospital, because they use the same tools and the same judgment. But when United Nations has someone that has not been into the Southern Cameroon territory, and he's giving diagnosis of the people as people of terrorists in their own territory, then I am kind of wondering whether he himself need to be in psychiatric hospital before he become a United Nations scribe to the Central African region. United Nations must have someone that had the good credentials, the ability to make sound knowledge, the ability to make judgment, the ability to be able to differentiate what is wrong and what is right. And they can only do that if they send a meaningful investigator. The investigator will investigate and find out from several different angles of the people and say, why do you people choose to remain separate after the 56 years? It is not the first time the people of Southern Cameroon has questioned the credibility of the relationship with La République. They have voted in several cases. Several documents have been written to the United Nations. They remain silent. As you remain silent over the people's concern, those concerns boil down, and eventually we will look for an escape way. Because when the people's concerns are being written and raised, it is the ability of the body to be able to assimilate those informations and be able to relate to them, and so that they prevent future crises. Once the problem keep on pile up, it becomes like the human enzyme that is fighting against disease. And once they gather the disease, they are able to shield those disease and they pack it in somewhere in your body, and it become a ball. And once they burst out, they're going to spread everywhere. And that is why it becomes very difficult to cure it. It's good that while it's still in your body, they should be able to identify the problem and be able to slice it out and start immediate treatment. Give equal in good antibiotics. But the people of Southern Cameroon has diagnosed La République, and they want to leave La République because they believe that La République is out of question for them to be able to live together. The Southern Cameroon practice a meaningful democracy. La République doesn't. They believe in a brutal dictatorship. They believe that when someone voices their concern, they must be arrested, they must be placed in jail, they must be executed, as they are doing right now that I'm speaking here live in the great state of Texas. You have someone at the helm of the United Nations called Antonio Guterres. You have someone at the helm of the United Nations office here in the United States. I am calling on the United States government to investigate whether does Antonio Guterres has the power to lead that organization. Does he have the credentials to lead that organization? Or is he just leading the organization by default? When Bill Clinton realized that the Kosovo were in deep crisis, when Bill Clinton realized that the Kosovo were in deep crisis, Bill Clinton immediately to the State Department, to the Department of Defense, and dispatched the U.S. Today, the people are in sound. The people are proud of what the United States government did. Today, the people of Kosovo, they are now proud. When the military wing they were using against the civilians, they were murdering civilians as they wish. But today the people of Kosovo, they are able now to proud because they have a government that represents them. And that is why I am speaking here live. I am speaking to the United States government that the people of Southern Cameroon is not an ethnic group. The people of Southern Cameroon is people that United States government in the 50s and 60s voted at the United Nations, recognized them as a sovereign nations. And therefore, La Republic has no legal authority over the people of Southern Cameroon. So I am asking the United States government, I am asking the United States Department of Defense, I am asking the United States to stand for its obligations. When Bill Clinton stand for the people of Kosovo, today the people of Kosovo is free. Today those who were fighting against the people of Kosovo, they are now in jail. And now the people have the voice to stand and say, we are free at last. And peace and security is now maintained in that area. But when the United States stays silent, then the murdering of people are continued. There are about 50 to 60,000 people of the Federal Republic of Ambazonian, the former Southern Cameroon, are now languishing in La Republic. They are not languishing in Nigeria. I'm sorry. There are 50 to 60,000 people of Southern Cameroon. They are languishing in Nigeria. And one asks them, why are you in Nigeria? Because they have a neighbor whom they invited to their home. They have a neighbor they have invited into their home. That is La Republic. And La Republic take over their home and become the leader to manage their activities and how they should raise their children and what they should do and how they should be governed. I am here telling the United States government, stand up for the obligation of the people of Southern Cameroon. The United States representative did not make a mistake in the 50s and 60s to vote the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon. I have the list here. These are the list of the vote that was conducted here in the United Nations. It was not a mistake. The United Nations Resolution 1608 of SV 21st April 1961 in the plenary sessions at 3 p.m. here in New York and was headed by the General Assembly President, Mr. Frederick Holland. He was the Assembly President, and Vice President was also present. It was Mr. Xiang of China, and the Secretary or Reporter was Mr. Boy of Denmark. Those were the key members at the United Nations when the Southern Cameroon was granted. The fact that the people have stayed calm does not mean that the people are not aware of the reality. And that is why the people has risen. They say, we must stand together for the unified entity of the Southern Cameroon territory. So I am speaking directly to the United States government. I am speaking directly that the United States government needs to stand for the freedom and liberty of the people. When people choose the Southern Cameroon, when the people of the Southern Cameroon, the leaders has demonstrated a meaningful and coherent government. And they are going through that pathway. And you can read from the Southern Cameroon that the structure and identity is almost similar to the United States government. Why they choose the United States government? Because the United States government is the government of the people. It's the government that they have justice that is equal, that everyone are respected. And that is what the Southern Cameroon stood for. And that is why I am asking the United States government that it is time to support the people, as Bill Clinton did for the Kosovo people. And today the people of Kosovo, there's no longer bombing going on in the people of Kosovo. Today they stand free. They stand and they are so proud of the people of the United States. And that is the value that the United States being admired in the rest of the world. And that is why I am presenting this case that the United States government needs to stand for its obligations. These were the 64 nations that voted for the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon. La Republic has no legal authority over the people of Southern Cameroon. And that is why I am presenting this case, because I have read this case several times. And I have continued to repeat this, and that the people of Southern Cameroon is a sovereign nation. So those nations are 64 in number that voted for the sovereignty of the people of Southern Cameroon. And those names include the following. You have Honduras, Hungary, Iceland, India, Indonesia, Iran, Iraq, Iceland, Japan, Jordan, Lebanon, Liberia, Libya, Mali, Mexico, Morocco, Nepal, Netherlands, New Zealand, Nigeria, Norway, Pakistan, Philippines, Poland, Romania, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, Sweden, Thailand, Tunisia, Turkey, Ukraine, Soviet Socialist Republic, Union of South Africa, Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, United Arab, United Kingdom, that's the people of Great Britain, Northern Ireland, United States of America, that's the country I am speaking about, Venezuela, Yemen, Yugoslavia, Afghanistan, Albania, Australia, Austria, Bolivia, Bulgaria, Burma, Yugoslavia, Canada, Ceylon, Chile, Costa Rica, Cuba, Cyprus, Czechoslovakia, Denmark, Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Ethiopia, Federation of Malaya, Finland, Ghana, and Guinea. Those were the 64 nations that voted for the sovereignty of the people of Southern Cameroon. The fact that the people of Southern Cameroon asked La République that they can live together doesn't give La République an authority and legal over the people of Southern Cameroon. The people of Southern Cameroon is a free nation. And so the people are well educated. The people are well intelligent. Remember, Southern Cameroon was a sovereign nation. And they practiced a federal government. La République did not. Southern Cameroon practiced a federal system of government. They have an elected officials where power was transferred from one elected official to the others. La République has never exercised this type of government. That is why you have one leader, one brutal dictatorship from one form of government to the next. When France believed that Ahidjo was getting out of astray, France manipulated Ahidjo that he was suffering from a disease that was incurable and that he needed treatment in France. And then they were transferred to this another brutal dictatorship called Pobia, and he has been in power till 35 years. Southern Cameroon believe in a government that is transferred from one elected official to another. No one is so powerful. No one is above the law. And Southern Cameroon believe in this freedom of law, just like the people of the United States. And so if the United States has been given the freedom to be the leader of the free world, and I am asking the United States government to stand against the people of Southern Cameroon, because enough is enough with La République. The nations that voted against the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon, they include the following. You have Israel, you have Ivory Coast, Luxembourg, Madagascar, Niger, Paraguay, Senegal, Upper Volta, Uruguay, Argentina, Belgium, Brazil, Cambodia, Cameroon, which is the republic we are fighting, Central African Republic, Chad, China, Congo, Brazzaville, and Dahomey, France, Gabon, and Greece. France did not vote for the sovereignty of Southern Cameroon. That to indicate to you that France is more interested of the African extraction rather than the benefit of the indigenous. That is why there's a contrast difference between the Great Britain and the French policy. So Britain believe in political reform. They believe in elected officials. That is why all the colony are more drilled to the British policy. But the French are more of a dictatorial system, more of exploitative. And that is why I am speaking here that Southern Cameroon is a sovereign nation and they don't deserve La République to decide what they need. So I am asking La République, if you have been appointed officials of La République and you are residing in Southern Cameroon and you are getting this announcement, please leave the Southern Cameroon back to La République. If you have been appointed by La République and you are currently residing in Southern Cameroon, you can choose to remain in Southern Cameroon and respect the laws of the Southern Cameroon, or you choose to leave and go to La République where you will be respected in La République, because the Southern Cameroon has decided and that you are no longer a welcome in the Southern Cameroon, and that authority shall not be assimilated by the people of Southern Cameroon from La République henceforth. I know many people are asking me, what about the CRTV? CRTV is the property of the Southern Cameroon. and belongs to the people of Southern Cameroon. Once you take over, start broadcasting there about the Southern Cameroon, not La Republique. Once you take over, start broadcasting the Southern Cameroon. That is what we are going. That is what we are doing. Anyone that is been appointed by La Republique and is currently residing in Southern Cameroon, please take this as a matter of serious. Take this as a matter of urgency. No amount of ammunition that you despise by La Republique shall do anything, and we shall come, those who give those orders from La Republique, and to carry on genocide in the Southern Cameroon. Remember, those who give those orders to be executed. If you haven't learned what happened to the Kosovo, you ought to be learned now as I'm speaking. Because when the time comes, you shall be the subject that will be the subject of the tribunal. So if you listen, call all those gendarmes, call all those military that have been dispatched to the Southern Cameroon to leave with immediate effect. As you keep on insisting, keeping those troops in the Southern Cameroon territory, as you keep on insisting, keeping all those officials in Southern Cameroon territory, we shall get them one after another until the last person shall dispatch. And if there is any bridge that link the Southern Cameroon with La Republique, cut those bridges down. If you have any link with the Southern Cameroon, if there is a bridge that link La Republique with the Southern Cameroon, get those bridges down, because we don't need La Republique. Our territory belongs to the people of Southern Cameroon, and the people of Southern Cameroon has rise, and that rise and shall never fall no more. And that the freedom is the freedom of the people of Southern Cameroon. They should be able to decide their sovereignty. This is a clear message to La Republique. Where is Muammar Gaddafi? I think they haven't learned a lesson. If they have learned a lesson, La Republique, it's time to act now and let go of the Southern Cameroon to decide their destiny. But if you keep on persisting, we will tell you that the sons and daughters of this nation shall come after you, because this is just the beginning. This is not the end. And the end shall be very disastrous. As we keep on speaking about the sovereignty of the Southern Cameroon, and you keep on persisting that you shall overcome, you may be on the wrong boat heading to the wrong direction. I want to take a moment to thank you for having this opportunity to watch. And that the people of Southern Cameroon, and that those who claim to be the black legs, I have a good news for you. That those who claim to be the black legs, and that Southern Cameroon, they shall be meddling and deceive the people. We shall come after you. And if you attempt that you are going to La Republique, and you have the brain, and you said you represent the people of Southern Cameroon, as you step into La Republique, remain in La Republique and do not step back into the Southern Cameroon, because you shall be returned to La Republique in a different form. Anyone, if you listen to these messages and you understand the magnitude of the people of Southern Cameroon, and that they have determined, and that their future and their destiny is no longer for compromise, and you choose to be the black legs, we have a good news for the black legs. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. And I want to thank you, and you continue the rest of your day. Good day. And it has been the Funto Daniel speaking here from the great state of Texas.